Hey y'all, this is Bridget London and the Highwaywoman Radio Show, coming to you from Austin, Texas.
Yes, here she comes. The highway woman, she comes with music for your soul, and then moves along. She moves along.
If you're just joining us, this is Bridget London, and you're listening to the Highwaywoman Radio Show's Johnny Paycheck Birthday Tribute Special. We've been playing lots of great Johnny Paycheck music, and right now I have with me on the phone, while he's on tour, he's up in New York, I believe, the one and only Mr. Billy Don Burns, and we're going to talk about his friend, the late, great Johnny Paycheck. Hey, Billy Don, how you doing?
Doing good, Bridget. Good to talk with you, girl. See you in a couple of days, by the way.
That's right. You're coming here to Texas. I can't wait to sing on my record. Woohoo! So thank you so much for being part of this very special Highwaywoman Radio Show. This is the first time we've done something like this on Johnny Paycheck for the show, and I really wanted to have you on here because I know, your history with Johnny Paycheck. Can you tell me a little bit about how you met him and how the two of you came to work together?
Well, I met Johnny when I met him, Charlie Ammerman was his manager, and Charlie was a friend of mine, and Charlie wanted me to help him with Johnny and work with him, so I went over to Charlie's house to meet him and met Johnny, and Johnny was kind of slow to trust, but we cut a couple of sessions, and then the third session we cut, our engineer, who was Doyle Grissom at Fireside, called me one night. I was co-producing this album with Charlie Ammerman, and it was a gospel album, and Doyle called me and said that he had a chance to play steel guitar on a Randy Travis album and wanted to know if he could get out of the session, but he had an assistant engineer who had worked for him before that did a good job, and I said, sure, Doyle. So I called Charlie and told him, and he said, yeah, that's cool. So the next day when I got to the studio, I got there about 20 minutes late because I had to go by the bank, and that was before the cell phone thing started happening. The year was 1988. I noticed Charlie upstairs when I pulled in at Fireside on the phone. So I walked in the studio, and the engineer that I hadn't met yet was talking to a couple of his buddies, and Johnny was in. Fireside had a vocal booth where could get claustrophobia in it if they stuck the big boom mic in there, and that's what had happened. And Johnny was saying, you can pull this boom mic out. And I heard that like twice. I walked in, I said, hey, man, get that damn boom mic out of there for him. He said, who the hell are you? I said, I'm the guy that's come here to teach you about subordination. And then so me and him started going at each other, and just as he got to me, he pulled his sweater over his head, and I beat him about half to death. And Johnny seen the whole thing. He comes sliding in there, and this guy's laying in the corner bleeding, and Johnny slid right down, put his finger right in the guy's face, and said, I've seen everything, and you started it.
What a great way to connect with Johnny Paycheck.
Yeah. And then Johnny grabbed me by the neck and gave me a big hug and leaned down at him again and said, you'll break him of that. and so Johnny loved me then, and I said, damn, Johnny, I'm sorry. I said, hell, I guess we got to cancel the session. He said, hell, we can record anytime. He said, we got to go on tour tonight. And she said, get on the bus and go with us. And me and Johnny became friends over that ordeal, I guess, and I was with him about a year and a half. I was with him until, I think it was February '89. He went to the penitentiary. We got pretty close, that year. I was with him a year or better, I guess.
Was it a strange time for you being an artist yourself, and now, you've become a legend yourself, Billy Don. You were managing him, were you not?
Well, yeah.
That's kind of an unusual position, to be an artist and then also, or were you just, just trying to help him, basically, right?
Well, no, it worked out to where I was actually managing him. Charlie, who is a great guy, we're friends to this day. Charlie went to the penitentiary over something that was a bad deal. It was like tax evasion or something like that. And when he did, I was already Johnny's co-producer, so all of a sudden I'm manager and producer. Of course, it was a pretty rocky road. I mean, Johnny was great. Like, we'd play those big honky-tonks, and he'd pack them everywhere we'd go, and sometimes have a relapse, and with drugs and alcohol. But I'm not saying nothing bad about him. He was a great artist, did great, but it was not easy. But
I'm sure it wasn't.
We got sued a lot, but he was a great singer. And Take This Job and Shove It, which I had nothing to do with that record, but that was a triple platinum album. Now, triple platinum is like, Bon Jovi or
right.
It's big time, and that was a triple platinum seller. I've seen it many times.
Did he ever talk about who his influences were?
George Jones was one he mentioned to me a couple of times about that.
Well, that's how he got his start, was working for George, wasn't it? Playing bass with him.
Yeah. And his real name, he came to town, and as Donnie Young, his real name was Donald Eugene Lytle, was his real name. Then he changed it to Donna Young. Finally ended up with Johnny Paycheck. Hank Cochran wrote Johnny's first hit, which was A11. And Johnny wrote, like Tammy Wynette, one of her first ones, might have been her first one, Apartment Number 9.
Yeah.
I mean, that song was a great song. So Johnny was a writer. He didn't write a lot, but when he did, boy, it was some good ones, like I Just Came Home to Count the Memories. Remember that one? Johnny wrote that one.
It's a great song.
Yeah, he was a good writer.
Do you think working with him influenced you at all in any way?
Well, you had to be tough to travel with. I mean, of course, I'd already learned to be tough over the years.
Right.
I mean, one night, me and Johnny was in a Hampton Inn. I finally got him in bed, and man, I'd just gone off to sleep, and all of a sudden I wake up, and Johnny's got me in a headlock. He didn't know who he had, but I said, Johnny, and but he had me in a headlock. He could be pretty violent, but he was a good guy. I never seen him kick a man in the ribs that didn't deserve it.
Billy Don. So many of these great artists had lived, and yourself included in this, the challenging life to start, a harder life to start. Those that have experienced that, or along the way, maybe it wasn't so hard in the beginning, but things that happen along the way, or different situations they found themselves in. I mean, that's where the grit and the guts come, for the writing.
Well, you're probably right. I mean, that's probably true.
Look at yourself, Billy Don. We want to tell folks and remind folks, now everybody who listens to this show is already familiar with you. I play you every show, but your latest record, Nights When I'm Sober, Portrait of a Honky Tonk Singer, that's got all kinds of those grits and guts, coming out all over it in the way that we love. It's beautiful. It's poetry. It's honky tonk. It's honky tonk poetry. Hey, that's what we should call it, Billy Don.
That might be that might be the gender we've been looking for.
That might be it.
I want to say too, Bridget, that and I'm not just saying it because I'm on this show. You've heard me say it many times, but you are my favorite female singer, and have been for the last 3 or 4 years. And great writer, heart as big as Texas, and I hope you're playing some of yours too on there.
I do, and I appreciate that. It means more to me than you can possibly know to have you say that.
I just played that in Pennsylvania where you had so many fans, and they were just, you were what's that little town, Eagleville?
New Eagle, yeah.
New Eagle, Pennsylvania. Man, you have got a lot of fans there, Bridget. They think you're behind the moon.
They're wonderful people up there, boy. And are you in New York right now, Billy Don? Is that right?
I was in New York last night. I'm in Trenton, New Jersey tonight. Tomorrow night's Philadelphia. Next night's Charlotte, North Carolina. And Saturday night is South Carolina. So
that's some hard trucking you're doing. Wow. How have the shows been going? Been going good?
It's been going good, yeah. When we leave South Carolina after the Saturday night gig, going to go to Arkansas and mow my yard, and then head to Texas and work on your album a little bit if you want to.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about your old friend, and I would have given anything to meet some of these folks that you have played with and worked with. At least I got to meet you and work and play music with you, Billy Don, but it means a lot, you know.
Well, and it does to me too, Bridget. I mean, you're a hard worker, and you're a good girl, and great talent. And if we knew what we knew then, I could have introduced you to Johnny. Of course, you was probably a little girl then.
Yeah, I would have been.
1988. Yeah. So
we need a time machine. I can go back and hang out with y'all. I'd probably be getting into an awful lot of trouble myself.
No more than we did, I'm sure.
No, yeah, probably not.
Johnny was a great guy, great artist, and we never had a falling out. I mean, he was a good guy, misunderstood a lot by a lot of people, and of course he had his demons like most of us have, you know.
Right.
But he'll go down in history as one of the greats, I think.
Absolutely. I feel that way as well. And do you have a favorite Paycheck song? We'll go out of your segment with your favorite, or one of them. I'm sure you probably have
My old buddy Mac Vickery, which Johnny cut one of our songs too, called Outlaws at the Cross, but it never really got out in the public. But Mac wrote Only Hell Mama Ever Raised. That's one of my favorites that Johnny did.
All right, let's play that one. And thank you so much for sharing your time and feelings and memories about Johnny Paycheck, Billy Don. We love you, you know.
Thank you, Bridget, and looking forward to seeing you about next Tuesday night, I guess, huh?
I can't wait. Billy Don Burns, folks. You can keep up with his touring schedule at BillyDonBurnsOfficial.com and Billy Don Burns Official on Facebook. Here is one of Billy Don's friends and co-writing partners, the late, great Matt Vickery, who wrote this song, Mr. Johnny Paycheck, on the Johnny Paycheck birthday special here, Only Hell Mama Ever Raised. All right, next up on the Highwaywoman Radio Show's Johnny Paycheck birthday special, we're going to feature Michael Franklin, a musician, singer, songwriter, and writer, columnist, music columnist, for several publications, including Outlaw Magazine. Michael Franklin wrote a tremendous piece about seeing Johnny Paycheck live and what that experience was like, and you'll feel like you were there. Michael Franklin with great show, Mr. Paycheck.
In August 1992, my parents took me to Branson, Missouri for my 25th birthday. We thought we'd catch a few country music shows, eat some greasy southern food, get type 2 diabetes, maybe buy a hammered dulcimer. We'd see the sights, of which there are many. Branson is an endless overflowing river of souvenir shops, strip malls, kiddie rides, family theaters, and dinosaur golf. However, the traffic goes a total of 2 miles an hour, 24/7, 365. It's bumper to bumper, inch by inch, on both sides of a 4-lane highway. Believe me, you have time to see everything. It's a vehicular blood clot. You'd have to set a stake to see if it moves. If you spot an attraction 15 feet away, you'll have plenty of time to make a Brady Bunch-style family decision. Talk it over. You won't get there for another half an hour. So that's what we did. We got in the car and off we went down the main artery of Branson, Missouri. People were walking faster than we were driving. A guy in a wheelchair shot past us like a bullet out of the gun of Robert Ford. We felt like three-toed sloths surrounded by cheetahs eating corn dogs. We were too afraid to stop anywhere, mainly because we'd never get back into that godforsaken traffic. We'd lose our place and have to sleep in the car. Besides, we were too enthralled by the flashing neon lights and steakhouse buffets. I remember thinking to myself, why are there snow cones in hell? And then, bam! Just a few feet in front of us, I saw the retina-burning marquee of the Roy Clark Celebrity Theater. Does that say, oh my God? I did a double take that would make Linda Blair green with envy. I still need a chiropractor. With wide-eyed intent, I turned to my dad and said, pull in. It's my birthday and I have spoken. This shall be. My eyes rolled in the back of my head and my toes curled up. We must see this. History demands it. 45 minutes later, we were in the parking lot. We were transfixed by the digital glow of these 4 words. Tonight, Johnny Paycheck live. Seriously, what planet is this? Enter the looking glass. I thought the best we could hope for would be the Bald Knobbers or a redneck puppet show in the life of Jesus. I was fully prepared for the comedic stylings of Yakov Smirnoff. I was resigned to Grandpa Jones impersonators and moon rock museums. Instead, we would be seeing legendary outlaw Johnny Paycheck, fresh off a stint at the Chillicothe Correctional Institution for shooting some dude with a .22 pistol. Johnny Paycheck, who once recorded a song called Thanks to the Cat House, I'm in the Doghouse with You. Johnny Paycheck, who with the appropriate grace and finesse, signed the nether regions of a nubile young princess after a gig in Kentucky in 1981. The man who once sang, busted in Austin, walking around in a daze. Now I'm sitting in the slammer looking through these bars in a haze, but it'll all clear up in 11 months and 29 days. And, well, I rode into Atlanta, stolen tags and almost out of gas. I had to get some money. Lately I'd learned how to get it fast. Those neon lights was calling me, and somehow I just had to get downtown, so I reached into the glove box, another liquor store went down. And lest we forget, I like to find them, fool them, free them, and forget them. I love to sing the 4F blues. Well, of course, that makes perfect sense. In family-friendly Branson, Missouri, we'll take the kids after Sunday school. 3 tickets, please. After all, he did sing, stay away from the cocaine train. Not get on the cocaine train and ride it like Slim Pickens on a neutron bomb in Dr. Strangelove. So there's that. I suppose you could call that family-friendly. Seriously, what? Johnny Paycheck? One of his biggest hits was about cutting some guy's ear off with a switchblade. Colorado Kool-Aid, 1977. He once cut a song called Pardon Me, I've Got Someone to Kill, and it's about exactly what you think it is. His 1978 LP is called Armed and Crazy, and Paycheck was both. It's a textbook case of truth and advertising. The title track to that album is quasi-heavy metal, Paycheck doing everything except snorting his own ashes on vinyl. You can hear spittle hit the microphone like the Manson-Nixon Tasmanian devil. This record, played backwards, will make you accept Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. My friends, cocaine is a hell of a drug. And yet, there was his name flashing on the Roy Clark Celebrity Theater marquee. Tonight, Johnny Paycheck live. It felt like the Sex Pistols playing Randy's Rodeo in San Antonio, and it was beautiful. I would see this show if it hair-lipped Elvis. When the good Lord struck this place with the lightning of the righteous, I wanted to be close enough to get my eyebrows burned off. With any luck, the ensuing redemptive fire would prevent decades of American cornball misery. The survivors of this scorched earth apocalypse would emerge from the Roy Clark Celebrity Theater like the post-nuclear survivor from the cave. God help us all. 3 tickets, please. As we walk into the theater, I got a giant whiff of jamboree, popcorn, cotton candy, slow inevitable death, funnel cakes and sadness, pretzels shot full of steroids. There were the usual leaflet newsstands advertising trail rides, cave tours, palm readers, Japanese fiddlers, the world's largest water slide, and Jim Stafford. It was the brochure equivalent to the bar scene in Star Wars. Set up next to the brochures, however, was Johnny Paycheck's merchandise table. I purchased a copy of The Last Outlaw, on cassette, of course, and we proceeded to enter the theater for the main event. We were greeted by a half-empty room, so we chose seats near the front, because that's how we roll. All seats for the end times. Bring it. The show began with Paycheck's band playing a few numbers. If I remember correctly, the lead guitar player, Paycheck's brother, Jeff Little, sang a few songs, and then a couple of blonde bombshells took the stage, and I forget the rest due to temporary blindness. I don't remember a single song, nor do I remember their names. I didn't see the point. I played the fifth. I do, however, remember Johnny Paycheck walking onto the stage. The place erupted like illegal fireworks. Let the apocalypse begin. He was wearing a white shirt, dark dress pants, a brown vest, and an off-white cowboy hat tilted slightly to the right. He'd put on some weight and apparently started using a different beard trimmer. Not the one he used on the cover of Take This Job and Shove It that practically screams, "Back the up or I will beat your." He looked friendly and approachable. I instinctively wanted to hug him. Clean living seemed to fit him like a store-bought suit of clothes. His extended stay at the Crossbars Hotel appeared to do him a world of good. The state did what Mama couldn't. This was a man high on life, not the refreshments. He seemed almost well-mannered. Enter the looking glass. And when he opened his mouth, time ceased to exist. He summoned angels, devils, God, prison, demon alcohol, love gone sideways, and the plight of the working man. It was a master class in country soul, a tutorial on the way it is. He was battling asthma, so every few songs he would take out an inhaler and breathe deep. Then he would dive headlong into another seamless string of musical genius. Inhaler 3 songs, inhaler 3 songs, inhaler repeat as necessary. He joked about returning from an all-expenses-paid vacation. He pledged his undying love and tempted all 7 deadly sins. He played the blues. He changed the lyrics in She's All I Got to Don't Snake Her, She's All I Got. I see what you did there, you sly devil. Old habits die hard. He performed the exquisite old violin, the most perfect depiction of despair and resignation ever put to tape. period. Nothing even comes close to its level of brutal honesty. To hear it straight from the horse's mouth remains one of the great moments of my life. My eyes watered like America just died. Bony fingers run up my back. Paycheck's voice could soothe your soul or rip out your entrails. It could stroke your hair or steal your hubcaps. He had a dirty angel on one shoulder and a beautiful devil on the other. There were no empty platitudes or treacly cliches. There were shades of gray where real life happens. He laid his heart on stage and it bled for all to see. No apologies. And he did all this with asthma. Breathe deep. The entire performance was masterful. There simply aren't enough synonyms for astonishing. The English language is inadequate to the occasion. When the show was over, he graciously signed tapes and CDs and whatever else was handed to him. He seemed winded and tired, but he still signed everything. He took my cassette copy of The Last Outlaw, opened it, and said, "What's your name, son?" As he shook my sweaty, nervous hand, I correctly remembered my name and said something banal like, "Great show, Mr. Paycheck." Really? He just moved heaven and earth and drew down hosts of hallelujahs, and the best I could come up with was, "Great show, Mr. Paycheck." He signed my tape, misspelling my name, then correcting it. No matter. I had touched the hem of his garment, and I was well pleased. I felt like I'd taken communion from Pope John Paul George Ringo's damn self. As we walked toward the car, I said to myself, I says, "I wish I had taped that. It would make a great bootleg, not for sale, of course, for private use only." And what to my wandering ears should appear but this? Johnny Paycheck live in Branson, Missouri, USA, recorded August 4th, 1992 at the Roy Clark Celebrity Theater in Branson, Missouri, and saved for all eternity. Not just etched into my memory, it was burned onto 2-track digital and released by Laserlight Records in 1993. It was now part of the esteemed Johnny Paycheck discography, alphabetically falling between Live at Gillies and Lovers and Losers, and we were there. That whistle at the end of Old Violin, I'm pretty sure that's me, 25 years old and high on coffee and riotous living. The war whoops right after Take This Job and Shove It, that's my mom. We're country. One odd footnote, Paycheck performed the Outlaw's Prayer, yet it's curiously absent from the official release. It's been over 20 years ago. To this day, it ranks among the best performances the good Lord has allowed me to witness. There was no apocalypse, only a revelation. Johnny Paycheck was on fire. No amount of heartache, Johnny Law, record company weasels, or emphysema could suffocate it. Not even the blinding geriatric lights of Branson, Missouri could snuff it out. Paycheck was still brighter. That very night, my mission in life became finding every utterance and every note of Johnny Paycheck available. Every LP, every cassette, every CD, MP3, and bootleg. I want it all, and it will be mine. I've made considerable progress in this endeavor, yet I remain unfulfilled. There can never be enough Johnny Paycheck, God rest his soul. So once again, I offer my sweaty, nervous hand. Great show, Mr. Paycheck.
This is Bridget London. You're listening to the Highwaywoman Radio Show, and right now I have one of my dearest friends, Mr. Billy Dee, Texas singer, songwriter, and bass player extraordinaire, on the phone with me here for the Johnny Paycheck special that we're doing this week, honoring the late, great Johnny Paycheck, and Billy Dee's going to talk to us a little bit about the legendary country singer. Hey, Billy, how you doing?
Fine, Bridget. How are you doing, honey?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, well, I'm humbled and honored. Thank you for asking me.
You bet. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you met Johnny Paycheck and what that was like, and what his music has meant to you?
I grew up listening to country because my father played steel guitar, and I had to listen to all the old, 40s and 50s and Bob Wills and steel guitar songs and all of that. And, of course, when the Beatles came, I was 9 or 10 years old, and I got into the Beatle craze. And that's how I learned how to play bass, is listening to Beatle 45s and listening to Paul McCartney play. That's how I learned how to play. So with that kind of background, when I went on the road, I always wanted to play swing music or Bob Wills or big band music or real country. And I've had after all of that background, I found myself in Nashville. And that was after my days at Gillies, when I was the band leader there from 81 to 87, I think. I was playing in Printer's Alley at a place called Skulls Rainbow Room.
Cool.
At that time, it was across from Boots Randolph's club in Printer's Alley right there. Anybody who's been to Nashville knows where that is. And I was playing with Red. Me and Red and Johnny Barber, who was Loretta Lynn's drummer.
And that's Red Volkart for our listeners.
Yes, Red Volkart, who he just got inducted into the Western Swing Hall of Fame in San Marcos 2 days ago, so I'm proud of him for that. So we were playing there. I think this was 92, 93, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Red had got the offer to go play with Merle, so Red left about 92, 93. I really can't remember which year it was, but the drummer, Johnny Barber, he went with Loretta Lynn. So I kept the band there for another 6 months. One of my friends that played down the street was Johnny Paycheck's guitar player at the time, and he came down and used to listen to me play all the time, and he said, how'd you like to go out with Paycheck for some gigs? And I said, are you kidding me? He said, no, I'm not. We're looking for a bass player, and can you audition tomorrow? You know, just come over to my house, and Johnny will be there, and we'll bring you out on the road with us. And I said, well, that perfect timing. That would be great. So the next day I went over there and played with him, and, you know, he sat around with a guitar, Johnny Paycheck did, and sat on his couch and, you know, would just play a few of the songs, you know, like Satin Sheets and Take a Shot at Each Other and things like that he does on his show. And I just played them all, you know, the best I could, and they seemed to like it because I knew them songs anyway, because I've been playing them for 20 years, you know.
Right.
And he was like my idol, one of my idols, you know, and I still think the Little Darwin years was his, you know, I mean, there was no better country voice than his, in my opinion, back then.
That's right.
And so I got to, a week later, we left, and I got to go on about 16 shows with him for about 3-4 months. And after that, Johnny had, at that time, Johnny was starting to get sick. He would have to use an inhaler, you know, after every couple songs on stage. He'd turn his back, you know, to the audience. And so when we were in Cincinnati, at the end of the tour, I just flew back to Nashville. And about 6 months later, I heard that he had gone into the hospital. And I'm thinking, wow, I was, you know, if anything ever happens to him, you know, I said, I can always say that I got to play with the great Johnny Paycheck, you know. And it wasn't a year or two later that he died. And I thought, wow, I was one of the last, you know, bass players to get to play with him. And so that is really one of the highlights of my career, playing with him and the likes of him, Fern Gosden, people like that I've got to play with. And I would say Paycheck was cool. I got pictures. Matter of fact, if you'd like to hear a bus story.
Yes, I would. Thank you very much, please.
You would love this. We were pulled over in the bus on the interstate at a truck stop. We were sleeping I got up. Everybody was sleeping on the bus, and Johnny was in the back, and the bus driver was on the couch. And I know you've been in a bus before on the couch, and then the table's across from that. And I was sitting at the table facing the back. Well, I was messing with my camera, and all of a sudden, here comes Johnny Paycheck with no shirt on, with his little belly hanging out. And his gray hair all disheveled, and he kind of yawned and put his hands out right there, you know, like yawning, and the bus driver had on this hat. It was a baseball cap with two things on the front of it, and I'm not going to tell you what those two things are. But he picked that hat up, and he put it on top of his head. And then he stretched again like that and looked at me, and I raised the camera up from the table, and I snapped a picture of it. I probably have the most rarest picture of Johnny Paycheck on my wall. That was a great bus story, and he, at that time when I was with him, he liked to eat a lot of sweets in the back there and constantly watch Andy Griffith reruns. That's what he would watch all the time we were traveling. And then we would always stop at Cracker Barrel because that's where you stopped if you're with the Grand Ole Opry member, because they eat free. So I got to play with the man. It was fun. It was really great. Sing harmony with him, you know.
Cool. I would have loved to have seen you play with him, Billy. That would have been really cool.
Oh, well, you're not old enough, hon. you weren't old enough.
When I was in Nashville and doing some stuff with Johnny Barber that you were talking about earlier, and I went down in his basement, and he had the big Paycheck banner in his basement, and I said, Johnny, will you put that in your will to me?
Is that right?
He's got the big Paycheck banner. I don't remember. I was kidding around, but I mean, you know, it's got that cool banner there hanging up right up there from all his years with Paycheck. And Johnny always, every time I see him, how's Billy Dee? Have you talked to Billy Dee? And it's obvious from your years together playing music and also shared love of Paycheck. It's pretty cool. I love that. And all the great music that has been around and how it can live forever. You know, music is timeless. And what's your favorite Johnny Paycheck song, Billy? We'll play it here going out of your segment.
Goodness. Johnny Paycheck, Mr. Heartache, please stand up and cry.
That one, okay. All right.
That's my favorite Johnny Paycheck song. I mean, there's a lot of them you can't pick. I just put on the Johnny Paycheck tape and just let it, CD, sorry, and go on and, I just told my age, didn't I? Okay. Yeah, and I just let them all play all the time in my car, so that's all I listen to, and old Bob Wills tracks, and the new album that we just did with Al Gresson is totally going bonkers. It's one of the best. Leon Roush and all them guys and everybody used to play with Bob Wills and Louise Rowe. They all said it's the best swing album that's come out since the 1950s.
Cool. Very
cool. So get a copy, or I'll get you a copy of it.
I would love one. Thank you. Yes. And, you know, we want to tell folks they can find you online on Facebook and go see you when you're playing in Austin and all that good stuff. Right, Billy Dee?
Yes, ma'am. I usually post my gigs on Facebook. And also, I post them on Reverb Nation. It's the Reverb Nation site.
Right.
It's reverbnation.com/Billy FDEE. Songs and see videos, and the more you listen, the more I go up in the charts.
That's right. That's right. Well, you're one of the best songwriters I know, not just and bass players, and I love you. You and I go back a long way, Billy, and I appreciate you sharing your story about Paycheck and being part of the Johnny Paycheck special. We want to show love. It's his birthday this week, and we want to show love for, in my opinion, what was one of the greatest artists that we've had in country music.
Yes, ma'am. I agree with you totally.
And we want to tell folks again that was reverbnation.com/BillyFD. And you can find Billy Dee on Facebook and all social media. Make sure you pick up copies of his records and go see him play live.
My albums are CD baby, and I'm working on my new album, which will be out in a couple of months. So
hey, you better come back on the show when that comes out.
I would love that, Bridget. Thank you, and thank you for having me and letting me reminisce. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all your listeners.
Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Bridget London, and this has been the Highwaywoman Radio Show.
Now there she goes, the highwaywoman, and she's brought music to your soul, and moves along, she moves along.